hello.
How you doing on this fine day?
Doing very fine, very fine. I'm recording this time, and I changed my drive to the right drive
Bam.
to save it. Yeah,
What
to
a,
to
what
the
a genius. Let's
yeah.
go.
What a genius! Here we go.
I have a question for you, my American friend,
Uh
about
oh.
America.
Uh oh. Everything's
Are the
terrible.
are the police like really bad or is that like overblown?
It is super, super overblown, bro.
Really?
Unfortunately, it is super overblown. I mean, okay,
All
hold
I
on.
do on
Yeah,
Twitter
go
is I
ahead.
just keep seeing I always see like videos of police being scumbags.
What'd you say? Say it again.
I said I always see on Twitter, I always just once in a while I always see some video of like a policeman just being some absolute scumbag and I'm like, damn, is
Oh
that what it's
yeah.
like?
Well, think about it. How big is the UK and how big is the US, right? So if we like take it, let me see, US size. Okay, let's say US population. Um,
It's like 6 times bigger, right?
yeah, versus UK. Okay. 65 million for the UK and 270, roughly two more people. 270 more live. 270 million live more in the US than there. So that if we do the numbers, that's about 340 million, something like that. Okay, so
A
that's
lot of
like
people.
5, 6 times more, right? Something like that. So think about that. So you have 5 to 6 times more people. And the statistic is, if I'm not mistaken, let's just pretend it's 1%, but for some reason my brain's thinking 3%. 1% of people are considered psychotic, like on the DSM-5 or something like that, the psychological associations breakdown of what that is, right? And
Yep.
more than half the people in the U.S. are women. So a little bit, it's like 52%, something like that. So whatever, let's just say it's 50%. So you have 1% of the 50%, which would entail 0.5% of our population of men are crazy. And then if you take that point 0.5 and remember that 99% of people incarcerated or something like that, I think it's 99%, are men, it kind of tells you there's a shit ton of people. You know what I'm saying? Because 1% of 300 million would be 1 million. I mean 3 million. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So 3 million, and then you cut that in half would be 1.5 million psychos. I mean, in regards to the DSM-5, that doesn't mean
That's a lot.
every
That's a
every.
lot of psychos right there.
Yeah, and that's obviously spread amongst the 50 states, and that's obviously dependent on where it's at. And then usually, unfortunately, this is how it works: is they usually come together. You know, misery loves company is just a phrase, but actually that tends to be reality to some extent, right? So, I mean, that's why you have gangs and stuff like that, right? It's not like people just like to be on their own and just start fighting and stuff. So
And they share a common interest.
yeah, and then it proliferates into a really, really bad combination of how people react together and people act, right? And then you have what people believe is what's it, racial profiling, right? The term racial profiling. Have you heard that before?
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of
So I
course.
mean, well, okay, so people can say that that's people. I mean, there has to be some sort of it somewhere. It's real to a certain extent, but to a certain extent, you have to realize that if you live in LA and the one area that people are dying constantly, how can you not look at someone and be like, that guy might shoot me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
because that area is bad. It doesn't have to be the people, like the color of the people. It's just the area or the gangs in the area. So, I mean, that's kind of what they had in New York for a while, and then they took it away because even though it lowered the crime rate significantly, people started saying it was racial profiling. Although, you know, if the higher percentage of people tend to be, let's say, LA, in certain areas, more Mexicans live in a certain area of LA. And remember, I'm Mexican, so I could say this, I guess. Anybody should be able to say this. But why wouldn't you profile, quote unquote, a Mexican guy in a bad neighborhood where Mexicans cause most of the problems? You see what I'm saying? On a statistic basis. So, to go back to the beginning of your question, is like, is it bad in the U.S.? It's like, okay, well, you have 1.5 million crazy ass people, you know, on the loose
Yeah.
constantly. What's the chances of somebody finding a video in each state on like at least a weekly basis of somebody getting like beat up or pushed down to the ground, or all these things going on at the same time that we don't know about. There's
Yeah, I get you.
context. So I wouldn't say they're bad. I mean, there's certain places that are worse than others, and that's probably where most of the videos come from. So like a lot of videos come from LA, a lot of videos come from New York. usually the capitals, not well, yeah, capitals actually, the capitals of bigger states or bigger cities tend to have a more likelihood that crazier stuff will happen because that's usually where the, I want to say worst people, but where more people tend to be a little bit crazier anyway. And
Yeah,
then
for sure.
if you add that onto the psychological factor of politics, if you want to add politics in there, I mean, and then the media, and then people seeing the video like you are, it makes it a little bit. I'm not saying you're doing this, but it makes it easier for the people to be like, "F the police, fuck the police." Excuse my language, right? But like that's what they're thinking, and then they act to the police even
Yeah.
worse because now they've just engulfed the idea that they hate them because they see these
Never-ending
videos.
cycle. It's a
Yes,
never-ending cycle.
exactly. So it's like, damn, this sucks, for
Yeah,
everyone.
pretty
I
much.
mean, for the police it sucks. For every race it sucks. White, black, Hispanic, all of them. It just sucks because I mean, at the end of the day, what do people make from this? What do people make from the videos? I mean, besides causing people to be feeling worse, obviously, I guess you could say we're informed, but a lot of those things are played on the news and they make money, dude. They're meant to make money. And then even like that Black Lives Matter thing that came out recently. I think it was
Yep.
yesterday. It was a documentary that came out yesterday. They all the money, dude, like 80 or 90% of the money. I can't remember the statistic. I didn't finish watching it. I just remember seeing a preview for it that the Black Lives Matter movement got was fucking shuttled into things that weren't even for black people. Like like it was shuttled
Yeah.
into like abortion, which is whatever, right? I mean, if somebody else's money and they put that in there, I'm not gonna be like, you can't do that because I mean that's you know what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
fucking wild. But it's an organization that's meant for black people, the race of African American, I guess, and almost like fucking 10% of it was barely used for that. And then so one of the guys, the main guy, took out like 90 mil or something fucking wild for himself. And like, come on,
He's
dude.
balling. He's balling.
Yeah, now he's balling. He's living the life, right? Like, and it's just so sad, bro. Like the people, like at the end of the day, even the women's movement. I know it's like kind of wild to say all these things on, in general, but it gets taken over by people that just want to make fucking money, dude. It's so disgusting, bro. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's police for you, man. It's not as bad as you think, but it's easy to get a couple really bad takes throughout the weeks for sure over the course of almost 400 million people, So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
that's your breakdown, bro. Don't worry. It's not that
Interesting.
bad.
Thank you. That was the news report from our American correspondent right there. The happenings in America.
Yes, the happenings of America. Like on our end, it seems like y'all are going into hell or something because of the because of y'all's economy. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's alright. It's alright. It's not that bad. It's probably overblown, right?
yeah,
For dramatic effect, but
oh
it's
yeah,
still pretty bad. But it's not like there's no people are still getting on with their day and you know
yeah. Okay
doing what they
then.
can.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah. For us, it seems like the UK is falling into a depression. Like they're gonna go to war like in a month or something like that with Russia. And we're like, damn. We're like, they live down the street, so they're the easiest to. They're the first to attack or some shit. You know what I mean? Like people are so wild on the news, man. I don't even like it. It's like okay, but a lot of it's speculation. You know? I mean, that's how you get the clicks, bro. You get that speculation in there, and that's how you
Yeah.
make money. And yeah, so there it is, brother. There it is. In other news, all right. But yeah, I'm ready though, man. If you're ready, you good to go?
Let's go. I guess the first thing was didn't you want to go over? I believe it was like a kind of like what did I call it again? Just kind of like a AMA. Like you had like something you want to talk about, right? Like a specific thing.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
yeah,
like for 30 minutes, and then
yeah.
we also have the hour game time.
So let's go ahead and see how. I wanted to go back to tech maps, actually.
Do it.
Tech
Let me
maps,
load up tag map.
your favorite part of the day.
Maps. Tag map. Boom. Tag maps.
Yeah, here you
See
go.
tag maps?
I am on it now, so I'm making it big. Okay, got you.
Alright, what are you interested in today on good old tech map?
All right, so not that we're doing, not that I'm doing doubles consistently, but whenever I'm playing like with the teammate, so let's say like this. Okay, we have two teams of four, obviously, right? We're playing either Slayer or I would say Slayer. I think capture the flag is a little bit more straightforward when it comes to two-man pushes, right? But with like something like Slayer on, let's say, would Aquarius? No, Aquarius is too small. Let's say Live Fire for now. So if we're playing like Live Fire Slayer,
Yeah.
and there's two of us that are, I mean, so okay. So what's your philosophy on this? Because I remember when we talked to Lunchbox, he was saying the 3-1 push is pretty good, but I feel like I've seen that do a lot better when it comes to objective game types, right? So what's the or at least what's yours or what you can tell from the pros in general? What's your idea of the optimal way to play Slayer on say a map like Live Fire? Or in general? Is there a generalized way to play Slayer? And then
It depends on the map
yeah,
layout
and that's what I
for sure.
figured. That's what I figured that it would obviously changes in the map. So I was watching some of Ryan Noob's play gameplay today and yesterday and whatnot. He was talking to the guy I think he was playing Live Fire. And he talks about playing the backside of bunker a lot. If you spawn in bunker, right? Not
Yeah,
really,
you can definitely do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
not really pushing out the front because a lot of people could shoot you from there, obviously.
Yeah, you don't want to go sand. The death trap. If you're like,
Yeah,
especially if you unless you're like the fourth guy, maybe then you can go there. But
yeah. So like for example, if we so like okay, so I'd like to go over like the idea of what live fire optimally would be played as a team, and then also from the optimal standpoint, like this is obviously never, almost never, not always never gonna happen, but it's more than likely not gonna happen. Just have a generalized idea of what best play by player, whatnot, of live fire is as the strong team starting on tower, and then as the weak team starting on um, in bunker, if that's the right way to look at it. And then also understanding why green is usually played, like B side, is played way more than dummy side as a pro player until OS comes up. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, all
Yeah.
right. Well, all right. So we'll move a bunch of these like characters around just to kind of like give you a sense of the game flow and why people go into spots.
Got you.
But the most important position is tower. Tower is the best. So we want a guy at tower. Like that's like objective, like most important thing, getting a guy at tower. Then once you have control of tower, you want to try get control of green. I'll explain why shortly. Then once you have control of green, you can control nest, and then nest boxes. And it should look something like this, your setup. Okay?
Okay. Okay, so that's
Uh,
ideal.
because you want the other team to be spawning around like here, kind of area. And the main reason is because you don't want the other team to push this way. Okay?
You don't
Because
want them to push green.
you don't want them to get. Main thing is you don't want them to get here for free, right? Because this is like a really tough spot to deal with. Like you really don't want to stop them getting to this kind of area here, you know?
Okay, so that's
Because once
basically
they
yeah, I
get
got you.
here, they can start like doing jumps and like jumping up in tower and really taking tower control off you. So you're really trying to deny them access to this area, right?
Right.
And also denying them the access to coming across the nest bridge into C boxes, you know?
Got you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you're really like set up in a way that like you really want to try funnel them around like here, you know?
Right, right. Because that's
And
pretty
like,
open too, yeah.
because like the reason is like if they come this way, they're very like telegraph, right? Like you can see like all across this area, right? Like you can like see them pushing. You can also watch cuts from this guy number 3. So it's kind of like any play they make is very like easy to deal with and very telegraphed, right? But let's say you have, for just an example, you were set up more something like this, which would kind of suck, but like something like, it could just be something like this, right? The issue with this is you're heavy on this side and you have really poor information on if they're pushing this way, right?
Right, right.
Like the issue is like you're not really watching back tower, so they could easily just get here for free. And
Yeah.
they could easily just get two guys up these stairs into fighting Tower 1. and they could easily be finding. They could get all the way here without even getting spotted, right? And they could easily make a play with something like this, where they could have like two nests, two back tower, and before you know it, it's a scrap at tower, and you guys are at a huge disadvantage, you know?
Right, that makes sense.
So you really like want to deny them from there to make this push because it's such a strong, powerful push, you know?
Right, right, right. That makes sense. Okay, so yeah, I mean it makes sense as well in the respect that if even if you have the setup as a red team, right, and you're looking, I mean that tower is not really looking at B unless you really, really look at
Yeah,
B.
yeah. The tower guy kind of plays for himself, right? Unless they really need it. Like his job is like watching his left and his top middle, you know?
Right, right.
And
That's yeah, I got you. That makes sense. So the original setup though is guy at B, guy at nest bridge, guy at nest boxes, guy at top tower.
yep,
Got you, got you.
for
Okay.
sure.
Okay. And then okay, so they're playing that. And then to break that, I mean, I remember before when we were with Lunchbox, he was talking about having some people, what did he say? I forgot what the push was. I just remember, and I've done this in game, where we ran down from I ran from bottom mid to pillar door, really sneaky, didn't shoot at
Yep,
anybody.
you can. That's
Yeah.
definitely a play you can make.
So that's the play that I made, and we actually won a game from that, which was really cool.
Yep.
But to break this setup, what's the ideal? Because I remember the only thing I would say is that for sure getting the distraction in there, getting their attention, and then playing the pillar doors, like the timing, is paramount because obviously if they see you, you're dead. I mean that's just, I mean
Yeah.
for the
So
most
you could
part.
obviously do a push like this, you know, where you could have like two guys out garage. You could have one garage, two sand. As long as you're like kind of hitting these kind of like free key areas at the same time, that's the most important thing.
Okay,
No one's like disconnected. Like you know, one guy isn't going too early.
got you.
I'd just say like playing these areas is pretty good. There's a lot of different kind of pushes you can make. It really just depends because it's like, so I always say like you always go through steps, right, as a team. Like you play for your information,
Right,
and then you play for your damage, and then you play to like engage and have the team fight, right?
right,
Like every team's a little different, right? Like some teams might have be something like they might like if you know they don't have any one tower and they're like something like this, right? Or even just like, you know, like this, right? Where they might have like two green, one, let's just say they have a guy nest, and then they have like the last guy's just coming to have a look, right? Because there's like a big distraction, right? And there's like you like have two teammates here, right?
right.
This changes a lot of things, right? Now like this play doesn't look as appealing, right?
Of course not. No.
Because they're all here. So like a nice play that you'll see people make is like send two guys through top middle and then flank round like this way, you know?
Yeah, but
And then you
usually
can
on a
like
higher
you know,
end, like
flank them.
on a higher level, like so to speak. I mean, that's probably a lower level like setup there, right? The red team how it's set up right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
This would be like how you said the other day, 1600 onyxes or something, like random like arbitrary number,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But like on a higher level, they would almost never not have somebody at tower. Like they would always have somebody at
Yeah.
tower. It's almost impossible to get a team not to have somebody at tower for the
Yeah.
most part.
Even like another set like you can sometimes push this way, like first, it's like quite rare. It would be something like this. If you felt like their setup was like this, which is definitely like a setup you'll see people use, they might be a bit heavier in green and kind of leave tower a bit exposed. If you felt the tower guy's a bit exposed, and
Got
like
you.
say heat waves up or something like that, that can like dictate your push, you
Right,
know?
right, right.
Say like a teammate spawns like here, and you just grab heat wave, and it's like, ah, fuck it, let's just work tower, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like the sandbox can obviously dictate your push sometimes, and if they have two guys in green, then maybe trying to play out this way is a bit tough. But if you know they only have one guy green, and they're a bit more set up, so like this guy instead of being here is like here, that can change real quick because now this push is like a lot less good, right? Because now this guy's pre-aiming cuts. He's also watching training, so like this push becomes terrible, and you go back to making this kind of push here, you know?
Right, right. So let me ask here. You said something. I thought that was important. You said it needs to go in steps, and obviously these steps are like intertwined steps. So it's not like one
Yeah,
information, right? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
information time. But it's like, so for example, if we're playing at a lower level, so to speak, usually information is I wouldn't say out the door, but it's usually not
It's
all
usually
there.
your own information, like you're kind of like individually looking around and like kind of seeing what your teammates are up to, and then also kind of gauging where the enemy's at, and kind of seeing like what your individual role is as opposed to like what the team should do. Like what team it's like as in matchmaking, it's a lot more or less of like where what kill should the team play for. It's kind of a lot more like where should I slot in based on like where people are, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and I think that seems like it's a little harder to do, and at least in my head, at least for right now, It's like I'm
Yep.
slotting in to do this because there's no, what's the word? Uh,
Strategy.
yeah, strategy. It's no control. I mean, you could say let's be aggro the whole game, but what the fuck does that mean when nobody's saying anything? You know what I mean? Does that mean just to just fucking shoot people, run at people and shoot them? You know? So
Yeah.
I mean, do I just follow my guy and then shoot whoever comes to us? So
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying is like I can play aggressive if there's a fucking idea of what to do as an aggressive player as the strategy. Like let's be aggro towards tower and play not passive but aggressive from tower, but don't push out too far, right? That you can be aggressive like that, but some people would call that defensive or passive. I mean, is there so if I was to say that, so what would you think that means? So if I was to say I want to play tower and be aggressive from tower, does that just mean I'm basically asking you to play for map control at tower, and that's our objective? Is kind of what is that how we're supposed to play as, like, let's say a random team of four? Is that how you can kind of
I mean, it's
bring the
just.
group together?
I mean, a game of Halo is like you're just like we said, like you're just trying to expose like the weakness in like each setup, right? Which is kind of what we've been doing. So
Right.
it's like, if you're the team that's spawning A, it's kind of like you can work both ways, right? When you're the guy's tower, you just kind of like set up and you're just kind of waiting for like a mistake of like someone overextends himself and then like everyone focus fires that guy.
Right,
And
right,
it's the
right.
same thing when you're like pushing, right? You're trying to like find the weakness. Like usually the weakness, the first pick will be the green guy, in
Right.
like this kind of setup. But it's like it can change, right, based off where people are at.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's like you might have to take it a little bit longer. Like if they're like set up to something like this, you might have to like start getting into green. That's top middle, and you're probably gonna have to shoot a lot longer, but you'll eventually probably win this fight.
That makes sense.
Uh, Like get into green, get into like you can maybe go pillars, but it's like usually still the nest guys will probably be the weakest, even if they are set up something like this, especially with grenades.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
so it's just a game of like on every map just trying to play for the same kill and generally try and make it like so it's the weakest kill.
Right. No, that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
sometimes it won't be. Sometimes you'll follow up like a shit push on like a tower. Like sometimes like trying to kill the tower guy from like this way or something. You'll just like follow up on that play and do the best you can. But sometimes it will get you killed.
Right, right, for
Uh,
sure.
yeah,
Okay, cool. So let's say that they're being more aggressive, quote unquote aggressive, as a lower level team that's not setting up, but they're just pushing the fuck out of you, right? They're just jumping on you all the time, right?
yeah.
And you're in bunkers. You're spawning in bunker. So what's the idea in bunker? And let's just pretend we three of us spawned in bunker, like like in a perfect world, we're gonna spawn together, right? So we're in
But
bunker and they're like
yeah,
push. They
but it's a lot of
yeah.
the same principles, right? Where it's like you kind of play in steps in a sense, where it's like there's no need to like just start flying out anywhere until you kind of know where people are at.
Right,
You know, you kind of just like sit back in bunker, play your damage, like play for it. So you're playing for like a pick slash damage slash info.
right,
Um, so you kind of sit out in A, and it's like if they push you, you'll be deep in A, so you can like kill them as they come out sand. But say if they kind of no one's pushing, then it's kind of like you're almost in like SWAT team mode, like as you like kind of spawn, like you're kind of getting info, like you're kind of testing the waters out garage side. Like you're trying to like and like see if you can see anyone in green. You
right,
know.
right,
And then once you kind of feel like, these guys have a bit of freedom here, then it's like, then you can start like testing the waters a little bit here, like having a look into top middle. If you don't see anyone, then you can start looking to get towards here, and let the guy flank spawn the middle. And it's kind of like you're kind of clearing areas, right? Like, then it's like once you kind of got your info, it's like, is there anybody at green? If there is, this can be the first kill. It's like, okay, they have nobody at green, but then we're gonna like maybe sneak into back tower.
right. I got you. And
Then
then
it's
try to
like,
get that
okay,
green setup.
then
Yeah.
it's like first kill might be the nest guy as you like sneak into back tower, right?
Got it. Got it.
Like you like focus fire like nest. If there's still nobody nest or green, then it's like okay, then now we're just fighting C.
Right, right, right,
There's
right.
got to be a guy C. So we're just gonna like come nest and like maybe try clearing off these boxes.
Got you. And then just I got you. So that makes sense. So if we're starting all the way back into bunker A and we all spawn there somehow, and
Yep.
they're just aggressive guys. We're going for information first because
Yep.
obviously they have position on us. I mean, if somebody just
Yep.
walks out of fucking garage and there's three people at or two people at green, one at nest, and then one at nest in the tower, just for example, or even the perfect setup that you showed earlier. that guy's just gonna
Yep.
get fucking railed if he just walks out and just wants to have a good time, right? Like,
Yeah, he's got real. You got real.
yeah,
Take your time when you're in the back foot like that. Gotta be
yes.
real cautious.
So yeah, I think that's a big thing a lot of people mess up on. In general, people I play with, people I don't play with, that just come in the game, they just run out. You know, I mean, the information's so paramount. I mean, I think that dictates a lot, like you said. I mean, if that's a good parry to go, then those guys in sandbags or the guys in back eight can move up to sandbags, look up there. Then one of them can go bottom mid, right, and kind of give some info. That doesn't necessarily mean you just shoot the first thing you see, right? Because if you can get more
Yeah.
information, I mean, they have more
Especially
information
because
on
you're
you.
vulnerable around pillars,
Yeah,
right? Like it's like we're saying that coaching every day. Like you don't want to be like having like you don't want to get here like too early and just be having like a crazy battle with this guy at green because you could easily get like cleaned up by a guy nest who might just drop down and kill you. You know?
right. So yeah,
So
just
you're kind of like waiting and buying your time, almost waiting for someone else to like start the fight. If anything, it's like if you can catch a good timing to like just not even fight green and just go straight through the river, it's like
right.
the best play. You
That's what
know?
I was thinking. So as a one-off, like I know this is kind of random, but like if I'm playing maybe an eights game and or not even eights game, just a matchmaking game, would the Slayer like the woods? Okay. So like I think I remember who was it? Was it you or somebody had said one time there has to be a guy that does this no matter what. Like no matter what. Oh yeah. I mean both of y'all said this. Like getting the power weapons. Like dude, just get the fucking
Yep.
power weapon, keep it away from them, right? Like just don't
Yep.
let somebody just go off on it. I mean if you can get good with it, even better. But you need to just go and do this no matter what, basically.
Yeah,
So
just keep taking routes where like,
yeah.
you're forever fighting for the sandbox or like you're just always checking for it, you know?
Right. So would you say that that
That's
as
another
a
reason why that pillars flank is really good, right?
yeah,
Because you're always like checking for heat wave like quite actively. And it can also work the other way when OV is coming up where it's like you might be like tower side and but I feel like A side is better, right, for OV.
right,
But it's like hitting the through bottom middle because you check for heat wave and then you can also like come out Kedor to like bait the overshield, you know?
right. So
Well, so it's kind of like kill two birds with one stone.
that's perfect. Yeah, and so you would you say that as the one person, let's say I'm by myself playing matchmaking alone and nobody has mics or whatever, or I'm not playing with the mic or whatever is the case, would my I wouldn't say again this isn't the goal all the time, but like if there was a paramount main thing to do, it would be doing that, checking for heat wave and playing for tower. Those are like the two main things
Yeah, exactly.
in the game,
Exactly.
in this map specifically.
I mean, like if you like, you can keep like dumbing it down to like the bare bones basics,
Right,
and it's like the bare bones like basics on maps is like map strategy is like the power positions and the power weapons, right?
right,
And it's like the power positions is like tower, like best position is like tower, right? Second best position is probably like here, right? Then it's like third best position is probably nest, right? You know?
right. And
And it's
then
just
yeah,
like so like you're just thinking in like best positions and it's like best weapon, snipe, heat wave, right? So you're always fighting for these positions and these weapons, you know?
got you. Okay, and
Like
then
if you like if I run around in a plat lobby, I'm probably like grabbing every power weapon and sitting at tower a lot of the game, right? You know?
yeah.
Like
Well, I
like
don't know
by
about
myself.
you. You'd probably be running around fucking killing everybody.
Yeah,
Just fucking
yeah.
jumping around. Monster. It's hiding in bunker. They're like, no, don't kill me. Okay, that's cool, man. No, that's good. I like that. I like that breakdown of that. For Slayer, I mean, what is it? What changes with Oddball here? I mean, obviously everything changes with Oddball, for the most part. But ideally,
It's
I'm
it's
guessing.
just where the fights break out a bit more. Like there is
Okay.
gonna be a lot more fighting around this side of the map and a lot less fighting in green. I feel like you want to open up green and like spawn them there a lot more. Like maybe not when you have the actual setup at tower, like you might want to get into green then. Because especially when the ball's down bottom middle, it kind of changes the dynamic where like, there was a lot of fighting around like Kedor, cuts,
Right.
dummies, and bottom middle, and just like around these doorways and like you really don't want to be like spawning when the ball's down bottom middle and like taking weird fights away from the ball at green, right?
Got it.
So like and like even like if the ball's down bottom middle, like taking these long flanks to get tower control, say tower control is only relative, right? Because if the ball's in A, then tower control means nothing, right? You don't want to be like taking these like long routes to flank tower sometimes if it means like you get in a fight here, but whilst you're doing it, they've grabbed the ball and took it away to A. It kind of makes your whole like push on tower pointless, right?
Got you.
So
Right.
it's all about just kind of sling around that objective, and like control is like relative to where the ball is, obviously, right?
Right.
Like what positions are good changes as opposed to a Slayer where like the good positions never really change, you know?
Right.
Um,
Or
Like,
because yeah, because it's a constant. I mean, the variable is constant. I mean, the dependent
yeah,
variable in this
exactly.
is the fucking ball. Like, that
Yeah,
ball
exactly.
is
So it's like
the
step one,
thing.
slay around that download ball, and like once the ball, once the ball changes location, where you bring it somewhere, they bring it somewhere, then it's like, the positions change. Like what are the key positions and stuff,
Got
and
it.
pushes
Got
can change obviously based on where the enemy are, the ball
got
is,
you.
you know.
Let me see. Let me get my coffee real quick. I just finished on the
Yeah, okay, that sounds
brewer.
good.
One
I'll
second.
be right back for like
Yeah.
30 seconds as well.
Nice.
Right back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so let's say the oddball, right? Like you were saying. Okay, so what's the ideal? Again, I'm guessing it's tower setup, but now that
Yeah,
we
pretty
have
much.
a guy without the ball, or with the ball, I mean, does that mean that I mean, he's kind of inactive to a certain extent,
Yeah, you should probably sit around here. I still feel like your setup should be something like, I mean, it depends. Like, it's like you want to have as wide of a perimeter as possible, right?
right?
You could play something like this, or you could even play something like this.
Right,
And this is a really good spot for the ball because you can like drop river and he still has like a lot of support. You could play something like that as
right.
well. I'd probably say this is probably like ideal, something like this. This guy stays here and then like once it comes a bit like off here, he can like drop down.
Got it, got it. So the next guy
And, but,
isn't
y-
paramount.
and you're like thinking about the rotate, right? So where they send players, if they push really heavy this way, then it's like this guy can drop the ball and like this guy can be watch pillars and like can rotate the ball green. And vice versa, if they do the conventional green push, you can maybe start looking to rotate the ball through like this way into cuts, right?
Got you.
Like
So
nice and
so
early.
real quick, do that first push. So let's do the reset to the green push real quick that you said. So like the ideal setup for so I'm more worried about what the people with the ball are doing here. So we
Yeah,
have
so let's say like number two is the ball guy,
okay.
and there was something like this, and let's say we can do like two pushes, right? So they could do this one. It could be something like this, where like they're really focusing this guy, you
Yeah.
know.
Uh-huh.
Um, then it's like a clear, okay, leave this guy, he's screwed. Let's let's go, rotate the ball. Like they're pushing like Nest now. It's like, okay, get the ball, rotate this way, right?
Yeah.
You can also go both ways, where like they get like a random pick on like they could get like like say you're all like close together,
Yeah.
and like they get like a pick on a guy, and it's kind of like you delay and like see where your teammate spawns, and you like rotate to him, obviously.
Right, right, right.
That can also be a play sometimes. But like if they just get like a clean pick on like far left or far right, then that usually means rotate the other way, right?
Right, right, right.
You know.
Yeah,
Like
especially
if
if there's
but if they're
numbers
all
there.
like pushing this way and you're facing a lot of resistance, if you're the ball guy like here, you don't want to like drop down river. And like if they really start getting far up, so they start getting to like here, then it's like I'd say try to river play it or just try force a rotation. If you have good support, like your teammate's still alive in green, and you have another teammate nest, you can watch like pillars or something. You can
Got you.
like stop that like pillars push, and you can like rotate into green, and then you have the like, because then like the good thing about going to green, even if you don't get a lot of time, it's like you drag the other team all the way to you at green, and then you play it, and it's like then you spawn up at, like here or something,
Right,
and then it's like you're direct on the ball, and they're like really far away from the ball,
right.
and they have to
And you
run
have
all the
power
way back.
weapons on that side of the map too.
Exactly, and they have to run all the way back to the ball,
Ah,
and like
okay.
it's you can like bait it and stuff.
So if we had a play-by-play and they push through, like you said, green side, uh, not green, yeah, OS side, whatever. Uh, then the play-by-play would be, okay, we got a guy on tower. Oh no, sorry. It's okay. Let me see the ball guy again. Sorry, you said that guy was on the elbow of right there. Yeah,
Yeah, he'd be on the ramp, but then once you start facing resistance, and he drops down to
got you.
like river, as I call it.
Again, okay, that yeah, because I could see it changes it up a little bit, just the setup, just a little bit. The guy from Nest is the only guy that really changes, honestly. I mean,
Yeah,
the guy at Nest is the ball guy now, so to speak, if you want to say
yeah,
that, and he's at the elbow, and he can still help for the most part.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Kind of
cool.
like this guy more plays like a radius of like this bridge to like here, you know?
Right. I got you. Yeah, yeah. He has cover on two different sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Tower's there in the B. So the B guy, if there's three guys pushing that side, he should just. I mean, everybody, quote unquote. I would say obviously we're going for a kill.
It's like he can ever come back and help these guys, or just or we can go to him and rotate the ball to him, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Most times I'd say you try go to him, but if you can't, then it's like say if there's some random reason they're like they make a push like something like this. They have like two guys come up pillars and like two top middle or something like that.
Uh huh.
Then it might just be best instead of like there's not like any like clear rotate really.
Right.
So it's just kind of like almost I drop the ball on Slay and this guy kind of comes back to help. But like the reason this push is weird because it's like you're still in very good positions to get Slays because this guy should do a lot of damage to these guys' pillars, you know?
Right. I got
So
you.
like this would be like a kind of drop the ball Slay kind of scenario, like push, you know?
Got it. Okay.
Or
All
like
right.
play ball and Slay, play for new ball.
Cool. Let's hope we get some live fire on this live gaming, and then we could fucking play this shit for real.
Okay,
That's
you wanna get going with
yeah.
some
I got it.
games?
Yeah, I just wanted a live fire breakdown for the most part. I mean, obviously there's strongholds too, but it's I mean, obviously it's kind of like Slayer where you have the tower setup is probably the best. I mean, that's kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
Obviously there's more to it because you have to switch and stuff sometimes, but it's just yeah, I got it. Sounds good, man. That was good.
Alright. Perfect.
Time for
Alright,
some games. Let's do it. Come
you
on.
wanna try crossplay? It's up to you.